The Tarrasque is the hardest monster to kill in the entire monster manual. Coming in at a whopping CR 30, D&D's infamous kaiju is incredibly difficult to kill, even for the strongest parties. But that doesn't make it inherently interesting to fight, and you should think twice before incorporating this monster as a final boss for your campaign. Welcome to the first episode of Critically Misused, a show where we look at misunderstood aspects of D&D. On this episode, we'll be covering the Tarrasque. For those of you who don't know, the Tarrasque is a legendary monster created by the primordial force of destruction, Tarrasque. Every millennia or so, it awakens from its slumber underground, raising towns, cities, or entire civilizations as it rampages across the land, before returning to slumber just as quickly as it woke up. There is only one Tarrasque, yes, but it's so incredibly challenging to kill that the species is at no threat of extinction. But what does that look like in terms of statistics? Well, let's discuss. The Tarrasque has a reflective carapace that negates spells like Magic Missile, Eldritch Blast, and Lightning Bolt. Those spells may even fire back at the original caster, targeting them instead of the Tarrasque. Its damage and condition immunities save it from the likes of Fireball, Cloud Kill, Fear, Hold Monster, and Charm Monster. Even if a spellcaster can find spells that work against it, such as Cone of Cold, its magic resistance and legendary resistances mean it will be taking the least amount of damage possible for a long time. If spells aren't practical, what about melee attacks? Surely the paladins and barbarians can get to grips with this beast, right? Wrong. It has an armor class of 25, the highest in D&D that I am aware of, and can make 8 melee attacks in a single round. Worse still, if it picks you up and swallows you, you will be subjected to 2 fireballs worth of acid damage every single round. In the lore from previous editions, the Tarrasque's stomach is the only definite way to kill a god or destroy an artifact. There is no way a mortal like you can withstand it. Staying out of range is nearly as futile, not just because of the high armor class, but also because the Tarrasque has a top speed of 140 feet per round, more than double the default player speed while dashing. And I haven't even mentioned the flat-out immunity to non-magical attacks, or its nearly 700 hit points. The one saving grace you have when fighting this monster is its lack of range attacks and flight, meaning you can pick a way at it from above, but that isn't a fun fight at all. Slowly whittling down a creature's 676 hit points does not a fun boss fight make. The Tarrasque is an annoyance to battle, a kid at the playground throwing up an everything-proof shield. It has no spells, abilities, or tactics that would make it interesting to fight, just a mountain of hit points, immunities, and attacks. This monster just seems to be a middle finger from Wizards of the Coast, designed to humble high-level players who think they can kill a god. Why is it even the game, you might wonder? Though a terrible monster and a terrible boss fight, it makes a great natural disaster. Like a hurricane or a blizzard, there is practically nothing a low-level party can do to stop the Tarrasque. So play into that while running it in your games. Run the Tarrasque as though it were a hurricane or a tornado. Regardless of if the party can face it on even ground, the creature is going to destroy a lot of buildings and probably kill a lot of people. Play into that aspect. Have the party attempt to mitigate damage on the city and protect its citizens rather than fighting it head-on. Perhaps instead of defeating the creature, they could focus on distracting it long enough to evacuate the city. And when the Tarrasque finally eats its fill and leaves, the party must help the stranded civilians rebuild their home or find a new one. Though the Tarrasque makes a terrible final boss, it is an unforgettable inciting incident. Thank you for sticking around to the end of this video. If you've made it this far, consider dropping a like and subscribing. Though I'm not sure how many of these episodes I will end up making, I'm sure this won't be the last you hear of me. Safe travels, until we meet again.